All right, let's jump right in. We're going to be talking about how people with high emotional intelligence deal with one of the trickiest emotions out there, anger. And this isn't about just bottling it up or pretending it's not there. Nope, this is about mastering it. We're going to walk through 5 really powerful techniques that you can start using right away.
Have you ever been there? You're in the middle of a heated moment. Your emotions are running high, and the words just fly out of your mouth. And then, that split second right after, you get that awful sinking feeling in your stomach. Yeah, that's the one. It's a universal feeling, and honestly, it's just the worst.
But what if you could hit the pause button in that moment? What if you had a toolkit to navigate that surge of anger without, causing damage you're going to have to clean up later? Well, that's exactly what we're about to get into.
And this is the absolute key. Anger isn't the bad guy here. People with high emotional intelligence, they feel anger just like the rest of us. The difference, their superpower really, is that they've learned how to manage it instead of letting it manage them.
So to get there, we have to start by completely changing how we look at anger. It's not just random emotional noise. Think of it more like an alarm bell, a signal that's trying to tell you something really important.
Let this one sink in for a second. We spend so much time and energy trying to fight the feeling of being angry, but what if we've been fighting the wrong battle this whole time? Anger is just the messenger.
Psychologists often call anger a secondary emotion. The best way to think about it is like an iceberg. The anger is the part you see sticking out of the water. It's big, it's obvious. But the real danger, the huge mass of ice, is all the stuff hidden underneath.
So what's hiding down there? Well, think about it. When you get that flash of anger because someone cuts you off, is it really just anger? Or is the deeper feeling that you feel disrespected? When you get mad about a mistake you made, is the root of it actually fear or maybe embarrassment? Figuring out what's really going on is the first huge step toward control.
Okay, so now that we get what anger really is, let's get into the practical stuff, the toolkit. We're going to start with 3 awesome techniques to help you reframe your thinking when you're in that heated moment.
Okay, this is based on some seriously fascinating science. A neuroscientist named Dr. Jill Boltz-Taylor found that the actual chemical reaction in your body for any emotion, the rush of hormones and everything, only lasts for about 90 seconds. So after that minute and a half, if you're still feeling angry, it's because your thoughts are keeping it alive. You're adding fuel to the fire. This is the whole basis for our first technique. Just pause. Give it 90 seconds.
Technique number 2 is all about switching gears in your brain. You want to shift out of that reactive, emotional part of your brain and into the logical thinking part. And the way you do that is surprisingly simple. You name the real emotion with more detail. So instead of just a hot, vague thought like, I'm furious, you could specific, I feel ignored right now, or I feel frustrated. Just the act of labeling it like that actually moves the activity to a different part of your brain, and boom, you've got more control.
Now this might be the most powerful question you can ever ask yourself when you feel that anger rising. See, our anger is almost always connected to a story we immediately tell ourselves about what just happened. This one little question cracks the door open to changing that story. Let's use a simple example. Your first story is, that person ignored my email on purpose to insult me. That story makes you angry. But what happens when you ask, is there another explanation? Well, maybe they're just completely swamped with work. Perhaps they misunderstood what you were asking. The point isn't about finding the right story. It's about seeing that your first angry interpretation isn't the only story. And that totally lowers the emotional temperature. So, we've covered the mind game. Now let's talk about mastering your physical self. These next 2 techniques are all about learning how to act with intention, not just on raw impulse. A lot of times, your body goes into fight or flight mode before your brain even knows what's happening, right? Your heart starts pounding, your shoulders tense up to your ears, your voice gets sharp. You can actually short-circuit that whole process. Before you say or do anything, just consciously slow your breathing. Force your shoulders to drop, and make an actual effort to lower the volume of your voice. It's amazing, but when you calm your body, your mind follows.
This right here, this is the heart of emotional intelligence. A reaction is automatic, it's emotional, and it's usually destructive. But a response? That's intentional. It's strategic, it's considered. Your real power is in the tiny space between what happens to you and how you act. The whole goal is to make that space just a little bit wider, wide enough to choose a response instead of just defaulting to a reaction.
And how do you create that space? With this question. Before a single word comes out of your mouth, you ask yourself, what do I actually want to achieve here?
Do you want to win? Do you want to prove you're right? Or do you want to solve the problem and keep the relationship intact? Answering that question first forces your actions to line up with your real goals, not just your fleeting emotions. Okay, so we've covered 5 really powerful tools. Now let's wrap it all up and see how they fit together as one complete strategy for taking control.
And this just brings us right back to our main point. Feeling angry is human. It's normal. It's even a useful signal. The weakness is never the emotion itself. The weakness is letting that emotion call all the shots and dictate what you do next.
So here's your new playbook, all laid out. First, you understand what the anger is really telling you. Then, you pause for those 90 seconds to let the chemical storm pass. Next, you reframe the story in your head. After that, you physically calm your body. And finally, you choose to respond with intention, focused on the outcome you really want.
Because you see, in the end, this is so much bigger than just managing anger. Every single time you choose a thoughtful response over a knee-jerk reaction, you are literally grabbing the steering wheel of your own life. You are the one deciding where you're going instead of just being tossed around by emotional waves.
So the final question isn't about what you're avoiding, but what you're building. When you have this kind of control, when you can act from the best version of yourself instead of the most reactive version, what kind of relationships, what kind of career, what kind of future are you going to build?